Hello everyone, I'm here today and I just started a new channel. You may know me as Rasmine's Edited Photos, but now I'm here to read to you my unit for student self-esteem and self-confidence, i.e. self-love. I believe that if we do this, if the children start to get self-esteem lessons in preschool all the way up through college, they'll have a firm basis on which to call upon self-love. So I'll begin by reading my paper to you. Self-esteem is a vital part of a child's development. Low self-esteem can lead to all types of problems, one being learning disabilities, and another is disciplinarian problems. I got that information from NIAC, National Association for the Education of Young Children, in 2010. At least a small part of a daily lesson plan could be devoted to teaching a child to have access to self-praise. It is a great way to help stimulate a student in the learning process when the teacher praises them. But what about when the teacher doesn't? Maybe the teacher is busy. Sorry, I had a hair on my... Maybe the teacher is busy or just plain forgot. But then the student needs to be self-sufficient so they can do it themselves. They need to be able to praise themselves. This may help a student to become more focused on the lesson taught. They may be able to get along better with the children and the teachers, the staff of the school, and also maybe their family, their friends at home, etc. They may be more alert and more attentive in all aspects of their life. Self-praise rises overall self-esteem, and it works together. If they praise themselves, their self-esteem will go way up. And this will positively affect them in the classroom and in their private lives, their social lives, all aspects. It will be beneficial if the teacher does participate also, because this is not graded. The teacher cannot say, "Oh, I'm going to grade you on your self-esteem." I mean, that doesn't fly. So this is never to be graded or for any kind of test or anything. This is just for the student. So this is just for the child to learn to love themselves. And nobody could put a grade on that. Only the child. And also, if the teacher feels good about herself or himself, this will affect the student. Oh no. Sorry, trying not to. There's been a lot of different studies that are backed up by this paper. You know, culture should definitely be part of this curriculum, because people of different cultures view themselves differently. And if a teacher works with that culture to help that child to love themselves the most, that'll be just wonderful. They may go to their special place, and we will go over special place after. And they could be anonymous or have a feeling that they need to make a connection to others according to their cultural upbringing. For example, in Japanese, the self is connected to others and self-effacing, where American is mainly individual, and people of color are more interconnected in this country than white culture. Perhaps they can bring others into their special place. After they get done just bringing themselves, they could bring others in. Because sometimes when you are a certain way by yourself, but when you introduce another person, you get kind of self-conscious. Now, if you go into your psyche and just do this and practice this, you could practice standing firm and being yourself when other people come into your personal space. According to Carl Rogers, when a child gets positive regard, the development of their self-esteem greatly increases. But when this positive regard becomes conditional, like, I don't love you unless you do the dishes, or something like that, then their self-esteem will be threatened. Or like if a teacher says, you'll be one of the best students if you be quiet. You know, it's nice to try to get the kid to be quiet in the classroom when you're teaching, but not when you make it conditional, like you'll only like them if they behave, or, you know, I mean, they need you to like them no matter what. And that becomes unconditional, and then their self-esteem needs to be unconditional. A child's esteem, a child's esteem is part of their development, and this affects how they will succeed later in life. And this study was done by Harriet A. Egerson in 2006. I already knew that, but, you know, I thought that references would look better when I send this class around to different school districts in the country. So, I always have to back up your facts in school. And I didn't write this for a class. I wrote this on my own. So this study is my research just for me and for the children. Some educators believe this is the work of the parents, but some may need help in this. The parents may be busy, maybe there's domestic violence, and so on, so the educators have got to step in. There are lots of domestic violence cases, a lot of different family dynamics going on, and the education system should be like a backbone to the child, like a solid backbone that a child can rely on. And this is where we step in. You know, well, where I was going to step in. I'm just gonna deviate from this for a minute. I got sick when I graduated. I was sick, and then after I graduated, I got even more sicker, and I had to give up my dream of being a teacher. So I'm in a disabled elderly apartment building now, and right now can't go anywhere. Well, I do go to the store, that's about it. Throw my garbage out. But get a little fresh air, that's nice. But my dream had always been to put these classes in my classroom and teach my kids self-esteem so early, because I have a degree in early childhood education. That's young little kids just starting out, and if they get this solid backbone there, can usually last, because these are their formative years. So I'm just wishing that this would really take off. It would curve away from bullying. If they have real self-esteem, why would somebody have to bully another person? Because usually that's from low self-esteem, or somebody thinking that they're better than somebody else. Well, real self-esteem means that you're not better than anybody else, and nobody's better than you. We all matter. All of us, every single one. And the children definitely need to learn it young. Because if they learn it young, I think that this could help a lot of things. It may not solve everything, but it could definitely help to lessen negative impacts later on in life when they're in school. Like if there's a joint, somebody's like, hey man, wanna try this joint? Child would be like, do I really want to try it? And they could come from a place where they make the decision. They're not making the decision to please anybody else but themselves. Yeah, and maybe they'll try it, or maybe they won't. In either decision, they can hold up their head up high and know that they did the best for themselves. Now, a lot of teachers may not like that aspect. They may want the kid to say no, definitely say no to that. But, you know, it's a child's priority. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to say that word. It's a child's decision, not ours. There have been so many school incidents that involve violence, like bullying, suicide, shootings, and so on. Child abuse is rampant. And this was way back in 2010, 2011, so we can just imagine now. It's probably about the same or a little bit worse. And what better way to intervene than to build up a child's self-image now? So a child could say, hey, you know what? I don't deserve to be abused. I'm going to tell my teacher. Inside, if they say inside their head, they could say that. Go and tell somebody or call the police, have it stopped there and then they could go on. And maybe they could even help another child. And usually this happens later on because they're self-centered when they're younger. And I don't mean they're selfish. Well, yeah, they're selfish, but they're they only think of themselves and everything is around them. Is centered around them. When they get older, then they can start to think of other people. But it's a process. It's ongoing. It's development, you know, and they're not developed yet to have a lot of compassion for others or even themselves. They're just trying to grow when they're little, and this will grow with them, and they'll be able to have compassion for themselves and others. Self-love. I call this lessons of self-love, but you know, that doesn't sound very educational, so I made it self-esteem. I'll be back with lesson 1, and maybe today, tomorrow, or a little bit. Okay, thank you everybody. Have yourself a wonderful day. Please be safe out there. Thank you. Bye-bye.